TitleMatchNetwork.com.
With the Jerry Lawler feud, was it hard getting your family involved, and whose idea was
that? Well, I was supposed to work with Hogan. And then Hogan, we had our little disagreement. I think that there was a lot of what I went through years later is the same thing that Hogan was going through then. They were telling me one thing.
Was Vince playing you guys off against each other?
Yeah, I think for sure they were playing us against each other. He told me flat out that Hogan said that I wasn't in his league, that it wasn't big enough to work with him, and let alone put me over. But I wasn't big enough to work with him. Didn't have a big enough name. I think said all these kind of things where I got pretty steamed about it, and I think we were totally played off against each other. And I think Hogan was probably leaving there trying to just get out of there without having them trash and ruin him too much. It's one thing about Hogan. He's one of the only guys that they never did that to. They could never really destroy him. So a lot of heat between us was built out of ghosts, phantoms, and from that point, it was like the backup plan. Well, you're not winning the title. Hogan's not going to drop the belt to you, so we'll put it on Yoko. And I'm thinking, like, in those days when they put the belt on somebody else, it was like that was the big money position. And the big money position's being handed over to somebody else on account of this guy not wanting to do it.
Right.
And it's like, it really bothered me. I thought, this isn't fair. I earned it, and this was the direction that we were going to go. And I thought it was maybe at that time the star of the company kind of thing. And they promised me when I won the belt they were going to keep it on me for a long time. I think they'd help everybody out. So Lawler was a big disappointment for me. I just was really disappointed. Once you kind of, you just get knocked off your horse, you get back on again. I just kind of said, all right. It wasn't personal slight on Jerry or anything, but I just was disappointed about the way they'd gone. I was happy with the 3 matches I had in the King of the Ring. I thought that was one of my finest nights. All 3 matches were, by those standards anyway, were pretty realistic, and they were all different. It wasn't like the same match in all 3. They were all different, and all 3 guys did a lot for me that night. But Lawler stiffed the shit out of me with that, whatever it is, that
scepter.
That scepter,
right.
Yeah. He really potatoed the shit out of me. I thought he broke my back. I was so mad. I thought I'll fix him when I see him, kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah, so I remembered that for a long time. It was one of the worst potatoes I ever got. So then I actually, and then you get where you forget it, you forgive it. It's just one of those things. And, I worked with him, and then I ended up doing the thing with Doink.
Right.
Which was a nice little twist, but it meant I had to work twice. And it was a nice little twist for everybody. But I worked with Doink, put him in the sharpshooter, and Lawler came up from behind. And if you ever watch, I thought he scarred my face. He whipped me with the crutch like a golf club. Swung it like a golf club, whacked me in the face. Snapped all the way around and almost cut my face. You could feel my skin almost get sliced. And it really hurt big time. And so, of course, when they brought him back, if you ever want to see some good punches, every single one of my punches was a dead right on, like it was like the real punch.
Right.
I was so pissed off at Jerry. And I don't think he ever knew. I think he just thought I was basically a lot, this is how the Hart Boys work or something.
Right.
I don't know, but I was pretty steamed. And then I calmed down. And then when I put him in the sharpshooter, I said, when I put him in, he's going to resist right away. I said, so I'll put it on nice and easy. And then I went to a nice, big, long, deep squat, and I put that thing on like you'd never. He was giving me the office. I put it on for, I think, 5 straight minutes, which is really hard after working 2 matches. And he literally crawled to the dressing room. He crawled around on the floor in the back. He was in a lot of pain. That was for the 2 spuds that he gave me. But in fact, Jerry was a lot of fun to work with. Once we got past those kind of things, his potatoes and my receipts, I guess.
Right.
I always liked him, and then once we started working house shows and kind of got an idea of what we really were doing, he was always a night off, always had a ton of heat, and it was always like, I can remember walking in the dressing room and see Jerry Lawler's name, and I was like, great, it's going to be easy, it's choking you with the string, or
Right.
the popsicle stick, and getting on some little old lady, and then, it was always easy. It was always easy and always had a lot of heat. And I was just looking at it from an entertainment standpoint. Jerry Lawler was always extremely entertaining to watch. So I enjoyed Jerry.
And eventually, Owen was brought into the feud.
Then it was in that period of time that they came to me with the idea of working. As I remember, I think I finally kind of got over an obstacle or hurdle in my contract. And I believe that's when I had the right to my name, which I finally had negotiated. I basically was going to quit over it if I didn't have the rights to my name. They gave me that. And I got a lot of coaching from some of the older guys, like Piper was a big influence on me, telling me, like, this is what you got to do next. You got to own your name, because if you ever leave, you got shit.
Right.
Little tiny things. And I played my cards real carefully, because in those days, it was like playing with a big lion that can get you anytime he wants to. And I unfortunately did kind of go through that with him. But I was kind of just wanting to always protect myself, and did get the rights to my name, and they gave me that. And then one of the things they talked to me about after we kind of got all that smoothed out was this angle of working with my brother Bruce. It was actually supposed to be. And of course I shot that down for all the right reasons. Bruce was not nowhere near the worker that Owen was. He was out of shape and kind of had retired and whatnot. He had just had reconstructive knee surgery or something. There was no way he could work. And at that time, Owen was just getting ready to quit and become a fireman. And Owen was going to be cannon fodder for Bruce in this angle. And I said, whoa. I said, I could never do that to Owen. I said, this guy's such a great worker, and he was such a great worker at that time. And even years before when he worked Stampede, Owen was an awesome worker. And he was, one of the things I always loved about Owen was he was nothing like me. You know, when you watched Owen, you didn't go, he's trying to copy his brother, you know. Owen had a distinct, different way of doing everything that I did. He did a lot of high flying, a lot of different stuff. The only thing I think he did, and he didn't do it as well, but he did the front turnbuckles. That's probably the only thing he ever borrowed from me.
Right.
Everything else was different. You know, he was a completely different wrestler than me, and that says a lot. He never copied or patterned himself off me at all. But I insisted that it was Owen. If I was going to do it at all, it would be with Owen, and I'd think about it. But I was personally not for it. I told Owen about it and told him to think about it. And I said, I personally don't think I want to do that, and was prepared to say no and try something, think about something else. And Owen came back and asked me to reconsider, and basically said this would be really good for him. And we made a promise that we would make friends somewhere down the line. And I said, we do this, we do it for a long time. And I know this like you're a baby face in a few months from now. So you're starting on this like maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, we'll finally patch things up and make a big thing of it. And we did luckily get to do that. The first few matches I had with him, he was always a little nervous at that time. His interviews were really good. His interviews were exceptional for a guy that was just being thrust right into a pretty big spot. And whenever we worked just before WrestleMania, we had a couple like tag house show matches in like Wisconsin and stuff like that. And we had such crappy matches. I mean, everything we did just didn't work and didn't fly right. We tried a lot of different ideas, sort of novel stuff that we were hoping might kind of blow everyone's mind. And we kind of chucked the whole thing out about 4 or 5 days before WrestleMania for the day. And it was like we came up here to the house and we went downstairs and I said, okay, let's forget everything we've been trying to do and like redo the whole match and just look at it from a completely different perspective. And it was very important to make sure Owen stayed heel, which is why he was such a nasty shit in that match. You know, he was really like did everything from 2 or 3 nut shots. He suckered me everywhere he could. But there was a reason. I said, we got to make sure you're the heel. If big brother beating up on a little brother, and, doesn't take, I've been around a little bit now, it doesn't take much to turn the tide. If you don't plan this out right, you could be being cheered all the way through this thing, and then there goes your heel push. So both got shit after that. And so we really put a lot of thought into it, and I thought it was an awesome match. The finish, I could have done a bit better victory roll and all that, but the truth was, in those days, it was a pay-per-view. You had so much pressure on you. If you just did it rather than, you couldn't screw up on a pay-per-view. And so we did it very, because my knees were always bad. I couldn't jump as high as I wanted to. But the finish was awesome. The match was really good, and I think that was the start of Owen's. He got respect after that, which he always deserved. And the matches I had with him were every night were a total work. They were so fun to have. He was always fun to work with, and it went on forever. I mean, it seemed like we wrestled for a year and a half.
Right.
And it was kind of a sad day when we finally said this. I think this is our last match. He was going to go into tags with Yoko or something like that.